Well, what's happening, Moving Conversations? Hope you're doing well. I'm Chris Hall, your host for the next little bit. We are in the process of adjusting some audio equipment, adjusting some cameras, changing some things out, and just doing a little bit of different stuff. Hopefully, next week we'll be in a little bit a different room, a different area, trying to kind of navigate some changes in this thing and just trying to make it the best for you, quality wise, video wise, sound wise, everything that goes with it. Just trying to present something well to you. I'm going to waste your time the best I can. So it is Monday, it's episode 20. Man, we made it 20 weeks of doing podcasts. That is crazy. We've been doing this for 20 weeks now. Can you believe that? And hopefully some of you have listened to every episode. If not, I don't want to be your friend. No, I do want to be your friend. My name's Chris, and I want to be your friend. And so I hope that you've listened to them. I hope that you've enjoyed them. I hope they've blessed you. I hope they've been what you've needed in life. I know sometimes we just need some encouraging moments. We just need some moments where the word just kind of hits us different and just kind of makes us think a little bit. And that's what this whole podcast is about. It's about kind of pushing us to think a little bit different, move out of the realm of the way we always done it and say, you know what, maybe somebody has an answer. Maybe somebody has a thought. Maybe somebody has a solution for me, something I've never thought of before, something I've never dreamed of before. And so for me, for you, for all of us, that's really what Movement Conversations has turned into. So today, for our 20th episode, I don't really have some fancy title. I don't have some fancy, maybe some fancy thought. But I wanted to talk about alignment. Yesterday on Sunday morning, we talked about alignment that produces advancement, alignment that produces favor, alignment that produces growth. And so today I wanted to talk more about alignment as well. I wanted to piggyback somewhat on what I said yesterday, because reality is a lot of us don't need more effort. We just need better alignment. I know that's kind of a catch-22, but the reality is some people just fell out of whack because you're out of alignment. Some of us are praying for increase, and some of us are praying for clarity and peace and breakthrough. But the truth is, for a lot of us, we're just frustrated because things feel hard. Sometimes we feel strained or even stuck. And sometimes the issue isn't resistance from the enemy. I'll be honest, I think sometimes the issue is just simple misalignment. I think we just get misaligned, and when we get misaligned, we miss so much of what God's trying to do in our life. Here's a truth that I think will kind of help you. You can be gifted, but be misaligned. And you can be anointed, but still be out of position. Now, if you're listening to this, or maybe you're jotting down notes, or maybe you're thinking, man, I wish I knew what he said again. You ready? Here it goes. You can be gifted, but still be misaligned. And you can be anointed, but still be out of position. We see it all through the Bible. We see it in people's lives. We see it so many places that you can be really good at something, but be out of a line. Or you can be really anointed, but be out of position. I've seen people that are so anointed, but they're anointed in the right thing, but they're in the wrong area. You know, it may not be that you are anointed to preach, but you may be anointed to sit with a baby in the nursery. Or you may not be anointed to sit with a baby in the nursery because you don't like babies, but you may be anointed to sing. And so the problem is when we get out of alignment and when we get out of place, it really messes up the whole. It's like when one tire gets out of alignment, it throws the whole vehicle out of whack. And so today, that's what I really want to talk about. And I think it'll help some of us maybe who are struggling with where we find our place out in life. Whether you go to a church, whether you don't go to a church, maybe you're in a company, a business, whatever it is, and you're just struggling to really kind of make things work for you. I want to talk about what alignment really is, how misalignment shows up, and how God can realign us for growth, for peace, and for increase. Now, that's a lot, but I think I can cover it in about 30 minutes. So let's define that first one, what alignment really means. Let's define it. Let's talk about it. Let's think about it. So alignment is this, and I hope you'll just bear with me. Alignment is when your habits and your direction are moving together toward God's purpose. Now, we know that verse that sits well with us, and we know that God causes all things to work together for the good of them who love him and who are called according to his purposes in Christ Jesus. So when your heart, your habits, and your direction are moving towards God's purpose, that's when you know you are somewhat in alignment. I'm not going to say alignment is perfection because it's not. Alignment has never been about perfection. This is the key to it all. Alignment has been about direction. You don't have to be perfect to be into it. You don't have to be perfect to be in alignment, but you do have to be in the right direction to be in alignment, because you can be in the wrong direction and feel like you're perfect, but be out of alignment, and everything in your life can get sideways. Think about your car. Think about your vehicle, whatever you drive, truck, car, whatever it is. If your wheels are out of alignment, the car still moves. A car that has been out of alignment has never caused it not to crank. But if your wheels are out of alignment, your car will crank, your car will move, your car will or do whatever. It'll accelerate, it'll slow down, it'll go into gear. But here's what it doesn't do. Here's the problem. When your car is out of alignment, it can crank, it can run, it can drive, but it pulls, it vibrates, it wears things down faster and costs you more in the long run. One tire being out of alignment, one front end, it wears things down, it pulls, it vibrates, it does not make it fun for driving. When I was younger, I didn't care what the car drove like, but when I got older, I wanted tires that drove smooth. I wanted a car that was in alignment. I didn't care about how fast it went. I wanted something that was comfortable. And that's what misalignment does spiritually. You're moving, but you're tired. You're productive, but you're not fulfilled. You're busy, but you're not peaceful. Now, I just gave you a lot, and I know you thought, man, I wish you'd say it again. Here you go. You're moving, but you're tired. You're productive, but you're not fulfilled. You're busy, but you're not peaceful. You understand that? You can be doing all of that, but you can be tired, unfulfilled, and not peaceful in your life. Here's the key for today. Here's the line I want you to get. Here's the catchphrase. Here's what I want you to hear, what I'm about to tell you right now. Misalignment doesn't stop movement. It drains momentum. Misalignment doesn't stop movement. It drains momentum. You don't feel stuck because you're failing. You feel stuck because God's trying to adjust your alignment. Everything that you do isn't a bad thing in life. There's things in life, it's not that you're failing. It's not that you're a screw up, that you're a mess up, that you're bad, whatever it is. It's more than that. It's none of that. I say it's more than that. It's really none of that. It's not that you're failing. It's just you're stuck because you're out of alignment. That's why I tell people all the time, you got to get it. You know, these people that say, I don't need church. I don't need to go to church. I don't need to organize a religion. No, you do. That is proof that you do because you think you can do it without it. You think that you don't need church, you don't need a preacher, you don't need a teacher, you don't need an elder, you don't need a leader, you don't need a pastor, prophet, evangelist, pastor, apostle, teacher. You don't need none of the fivefold in your life. You think you don't need none of it. Number one, you've probably been hurt somewhere along the way, and that's why you think you don't need something, because you was in a jacked up situation and you think you don't need. No, stop. That's why you're out of alignment, because most people get alignment because they won't submit to nobody. They won't sit up under somebody's leadership. They think they know everything, but they really don't. And they won't sit up under somebody's leadership. I sit up under people's leadership. I got people that I'm accountable to. Why? Because it keeps me in alignment. And when I get out of alignment, it's most of the time because I've pulled myself out of alignment. And I feel stuck because God's trying to adjust me. But in his adjusting, I'm fighting that alignment because I don't want to do it. I know what I need to do, but I don't want to do it. And so God's trying to adjust me, and God's trying to calibrate me. And in the process of all of that, he's trying to align me, but I'm wearing myself down. I'm tired. I'm unfulfilled, and I don't have peace in my life. All because I'm out of alignment. All because I've mishandled the instruction in my life. All because I thought I had to be perfect, but it wasn't about being perfect. It was about being aligned. I'm trying to go towards God's purpose, but I'm out of alignment in my life. So there are some signs, I think, that we develop in our life that when we get out of alignment, there's signs that show up in our life. And if I could get practical with you and I could talk to a few of them about you, here are some of the warning signs. If you had a dash in front of you right now, and all of us have dashes in our cars, if you had a dash in front of you and it was warning signs, ding, 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 it's going off, oil pressure going off, low fuel, low tire pressure, whatever it is, here's the warning signs for your life. If you constantly have friction, everything feels harder than it should. Even good things feel heavy. I've heard people say before, that's just because I'm burdened with something, or I've got the burden of the Lord about something, or that's why this ministry is so difficult, because it's burdening me down. I understand there can be time. I'll give words. I got messages, whatever it is. I got to preach. I got to have a meeting, whatever it is. And sometimes that can be worrisome and burdensome because of the heaviness of it. But I tell people all the time, and this is not knocking anybody that takes sabbaticals. It's not like anybody that takes vacations, whatever it is, but I could preach every day of my life. I had this conversation with somebody the other day, a good friend of mine. I could preach every day of my life. I love preaching, but it's the leadership side of things that drains me. And a lot of times when I feel the friction on the preaching side, it's probably because I haven't studied enough. I haven't prayed enough. I haven't meditated enough. I haven't pulled myself away from everything else to get in the book. And so a lot of times we say, oh, that's just the burden of the Lord. I don't know that it's the burden of the Lord as much as just sometimes we're just out of alignment and we're frustrated because things aren't going right. It's a warning sign. If I'm constantly meeting friction, everything I do is meeting friction. Yes, it could be a spiritual attack. Yes, it could be the enemy. I understand all of that. But if I'm constantly meeting friction, always meeting it, it's a warning sign that something is out of alignment somewhere another. Constant friction. Everything you do, everything you touch, it's grinding all the time. Grinding all the time. It's constant friction. Know how to distinguish the two of them. There's times when I have to preach it's tough getting there. But when I preach the word, I feel the relief, like, all right, that had to be said. But if it's constant friction, it's like dating somebody. When you're dating people and you and them have nothing, well, we dating right now, and you don't get along with them at all. You're always bickering. It'll be better once we get married. Why is it going to be better when you get married? When you get married, you're just going to be having relations with each other, but it's still going to be tough. It's still going to be difficult. Just because people think when it comes to marriage that marriage is the fix-all for what I'm going through. It's not. You carry problems into it. A new job, you carry problems into it. A new church, you carry problems into it. A new whatever it is, if the friction is there to begin with, it's going to carry through, and then you're going to get other people in friction. Man, that's some good stuff right there. Constant friction. Constant friction. Number 2, confusion instead of clarity. Now, understand this very clear. There are times that the Lord doesn't always give me the answer right away. I get it. There are times that I don't always have the answer right away. But I don't know that I would classify that as confusion. Sometimes that's just the Lord not saying nothing because I'm not supposed to do nothing. But if I'm always in confusion about something, let me say, you're doing a lot, but it feels foggy. Like it just feels like it's just always confusion there. There's no clarity. I have had more clarity in my life than I have confusion in my life. I have had more vision in my life than I have division in my life because I'm trying to keep myself in alignment. And when I get out of alignment, that's when the friction comes and that's when the confusion comes because I'm trying to do things myself when He said, it's not by might nor by power, but by His Spirit, says the Lord of hosts. So when you have constant friction, when you have confusion instead of clarity. And sometimes clarity is God's silence. I mentioned this last weekend. Sometimes we think God's silence is the go-ahead button, but it's not. If God's not saying nothing, it's not that you have confusion. It's that God's being very clear. I don't want you to do nothing. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You don't have to do nothing right now. Every believer doesn't always have to be moving, going, and doing. Sometimes you got to sit still. And sometimes that's why we encourage fasting and prayer so much this time of the year, because it clears your mind for the coming year. It clears your mind for what God's about to do in your life. And you don't fast for the sake of getting rid of food. You fast for the sake of getting direction and getting clarity in your life. That's what fasting produces in your life. It's clarity and direction. So constant friction, confusion instead of clarity. And here's another one that I thought about: drain joy. I mean, when your joy gets drained, you're serving, working, building, doing, going, blah, 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 doing it all, but there is no joy. Your joy is leaking. There's 2 or 3 times around this church every year that we get busy. Christmas time, fall festival, VBS, Easter, a couple times a year. Our big conference we have 4 or 5 times a year that we get busy. But I do my best even in those moments, and I watch my staff, and I'm encouraged by how they lead as well. But I watch all of us, and as easy as it would be to lose our joy on a weekly basis. We got people stepping up. We got people stepping down. We got people stepping in. We got people moving out, moving in. There is never and it's not a bad thing. That's the ebb and the flow of church, but it's always a changing. There's never a constant value in all of it. It's always changing. And if I allowed what I see between Monday and Saturday to dictate what I preach on Sunday, I would probably preach some of the most depression messages in the world, but I'm not. Why? Because I know that in order to stay in alignment, I have to keep my joy. And I'm serving, I'm working, I'm doing, but I don't want my joy to leak out of it, because the joy of the Lord is our strength. And so if I lose my joy, I lose my strength. And if I lose my strength, I lose my ability to do, serve, go, move, do all this stuff that God's called me to do. You understand what I'm saying? For me, this podcasting deal, I'm trying to get set up in another part of the building, because to do these podcasts, I have to set up, tear down, set up, tear down, set up, tear down, set up, tear down, set up, tear down. Every week I'm doing it. And sometimes it can get frustrating, and I don't want it to be to the point that it frustrates me so that I don't do podcast anymore. So there's the remedy to it. What is the alignment of my podcast? Okay, so I create a space where all of my stuff is set up all the time. I can walk in, record podcast, walk out. I ain't got to stress over it. But if I'm out of alignment, I'm having to rush to get this done and rush to get that done. I do podcasts because it brings me joy to do this. I preach, but I lead. I do all this stuff because I have joy in it. But when my joy is drained, I'm out of alignment. If a marriage has lost its joy and love, it's out of alignment. It is. If you've lost your joy and love for your job, it's out of alignment. Doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be there. Doesn't mean you're supposed to leave that person. Doesn't mean you're supposed to leave that church, that job, whatever it is. That's not always leaving is not always the answer. Well, it just not work out for us no more, so I'm going to leave. Well, that's not the answer. But maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you, or maybe it is them. But is walking away the answer? This isn't high school, folks. This isn't middle school. This isn't elementary school. This is life. This is life. We're called to live life and do it right. And so if my joy's getting drained, then back up and repunt and figure out why my joy's getting drained. Figure out what's causing the joy to be drained in life. Because you can do all this stuff, but if you're leaking joy, it can become very disheartening. So step back, find out why it's leaking. And more than likely, it's because there's constant friction, there's confusion instead of clarity, and your joy is being drained. Number 4, fruit without peace. Now, I want to say this because things may be growing externally, but internally, you feel stretched thin. Now, I've seen this ministry before because I've seen plenty of pastors myself. I've seen many that we have great fruit on the outside, but sometimes on the inside, we feel stretched thin. We feel, just like, I don't know about all this. This ain't good right now. This ain't healthy right now. It's because we may be out of alignment. This is the truth that I want you to get. God doesn't just care about what you're producing. He cares about what it's producing in you. God just doesn't care about what you're producing. He cares about what it's producing inside of you. And I thought about this, that sometimes God slows us down not to punish us, but to realign us before damage happens. It's a fact. It is a fact. I can't tell you how many times that I've seen people come into this ministry. I've seen people come into my life that I thought, man, those are the ones that I need in my life. And somehow they get moved out of my life. And I really think God moves people out of your life because he knows damage, nothing against them, nothing against you, but sometimes damage can come in those relationships. Sometimes God will move you out of a job simply because he doesn't want to damage you. And we fight that. But the reality is that just because you're producing does not always mean that's positive, because God wants to know what it's producing inside of you. Yes, I have a great ministry. Yes, I have a great job. Yes, I have all this great stuff, whatever it may be for you. But if it's not, okay, so what is it costing you? What's it costing you? What's it costing you? What's it costing you? Because just because it produces externally doesn't mean it's producing internally like it should. And I know that's a lot to grasp, and I know you could probably go a million ways with that thought, but you have to understand that. You have to understand that if something robs your joy and your peace, there are days that I wanted to quit, just wanted to walk away from it all. But I had to disconnect, pull away, and say, okay, let me get back to my first love. My first love is preaching. My first love is leading people. My first love is pastoring. As far as the ministry goes, when I say first love, let me get back to that. And when I get back to the core of it, all of a sudden I realize, okay, let's produce something better inside of me. God's slowing me down, not to punish me, but sometimes I tell people all the time, I think a lot of times the reason things don't take, we joke about money all the time. People say, oh, if I ever win the lottery, I want to give $30 million to the church. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I appreciate it. You can write the check to Movement Church any day you get ready. But there's a lot of people that honestly, I think God not letting them have big windfalls in life is for their protection. Because there's some people right now, I know, I love them, but I know them. If they ever hit it big, you never see them again. They'd be gone like a freight train, gone like yesterday. Gone like a soldier in the Civil War, bang, bang. I don't even know where that song come from. Country song just come back to my mind. But they'd be gone in a minute. They'd be out of the picture. You'd never see them again. And so God says, I love you enough not to give it to you, because if I give it to you, to damage you. That's a good God. We serve a good God that would rather protect us than promote us sometimes. We serve a good God that would rather keep us hidden than keep us exposed sometimes. So let's talk about this. Alignment always precedes increase. Alignment always precedes increase. All throughout Scripture, all throughout life, you'll notice this pattern that God aligns before he enlarges. We're in the process right now at our church. It's not really public yet. I've mentioned behind to a few people that I'm trying to put in place, but we're trying to get some different eldership put in place. Some not different, but just some more elders put in place and some other things put in place. Some alignment just to kind of steward what God's doing in this house. It's taken me a while to learn that principle, more so than it should have, I guess, in my own default. Before promotion, there's preparation. It's a fact. And before there's multiplication, there's alignment. And before there's overflow, there's order. You got to have preparation, alignment, and order in your life. And if you don't got those three in your life, you're not going to get promotion, multiplication, and overflow. It's a fact. Probably ain't going to bless you with a new car if you can't keep the one out you got clean right now. If you got 32 McDonald's bags in the back of your car and 25 Mountain Dew bottles in the front and 15 cans of Zen in the left seat, nothing against Zen, Mountain Dews, or McDonald's, but if you can't keep it cleaned out, he's probably not going to bless you with a new vehicle. Well, I want to get a new house. I want to get a new job. Well, you got to get your credit right. If you ain't got cash to pay for it, you got to have good credit. You got to have decent credit. You got to have good credit. And so you can't go not paying bills. You can't go letting your credit card you can't get mad at the bank if the bank won't loan you money to get a house and your credit score is 320 because you don't ever pay a credit card off. Pastor, that's my personal business. It may be your personal business, but we can't ask God to do something in our life if we're not willing to do our part on our end. So you got to get prepared. You got to get alignment. You got to get order. And when you get those three, you get promotion, multiplication, overflow. It's a fact. You don't pour new oil in a cracked vessel. If you had a car at your house right now with a cracked head and leaking seals, you ain't gonna pour new oil. You can pour new oil you want, it's gonna leak on the ground. You don't release increase into misalignment. You don't take a company, Fortune 500 companies, you don't take companies and ministries and organizations and find the most unorganized part of that company and put all the money into it. That ain't what you do. That ain't how it works. You release increase into alignment, not misalignment. You ready? Here's the thought behind it. Increase flows where alignment already exists. He's a God of order. Everything he did on the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth, order, 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 order. When they come into the tabernacle, get everything together. In the Old Testament, you saw, and when they finished the tabernacle, the glory of the Lord descended and covered the place where they were, covered it where they were at. All because of order. He's a God of order, not a God of misalignment. So when you get your life in alignment, there's those areas. I want to get blessed. I don't tithe and give. You probably don't get blessed to the fullness measure that you really can get blessed. I don't want the blessings of the Lord to overtake my house. I want to be like Obed-Edom. I want the blessings of the Lord to run me down. Okay, well, you can't even make time to serve or give or do or help your neighbor out down the street. Alignment, preparation, order. You got to get it in your life. I want to preach and teach the gospel all over the world. You can't even share the gospel with your neighbor down the street. Talk to me, somebody. Are you alive on this podcast? That's why prayer and fasting matters, especially this time of year, not because they impress God, but because they realign us. We don't pray and fast to impress God. The God who sees in secret rewards. He sees what's going on. It's not impressing him. I'm sure he's proud of us, but it's not like, oh, I'm so proud of it. It's for our benefit to get realigned. Prayer realigns our perspective. Fasting realigns our appetite. And the word realigns our thinking. That's rich, and that's good, and that's truthful. Alignment, man, I got so much. Alignment just isn't about God getting on our page. It's about getting back on his. The alignment's not about God getting on our page. Well, God, I need you to do this in my life. Hello, it's about getting back on his page, returning to our first love, returning to what he's called us to do to begin with. The truth is that God uses adjustments to realign us. He always has. Alignment almost always requires adjustment. Always. You got to adjust. Put it on the rack and pinion and adjust it. And adjustments, listen, family, they are uncomfortable. I've never gone to a chiropractor. I thought about going as of late. I've had some back issues. I thought about going. And I've seen these people getting adjustments and they're getting cracked all over the place. Can't be comfortable. But I think the end result is what they need in their life. And sometimes God shifts our relationships. He changes our assignments. He interrupts our routines and he prunes our schedules. That's so good. Not because he's removing the blessings, but because he's protecting the purpose behind it. Sometimes you just got to simplify stuff. I used to think I had to get up with 10 points, and I try to do my best. When I preach the gospel, I want to reach everybody in the room. The guy that is about ready to give up, or the mother that's on cloud nine because she's expecting a baby. I want to reach everybody in the room. And doing that, sometimes you try to encompass everybody in your message. You know you can't. But at the end of the day, I want to do my best to reach as many as I can. And I want everybody to know that what we do, the purpose behind what we do is getting people realigned in life and getting people repositioned in life and getting people restructured in life and getting people back to their purpose in life. God's adjustments, they're not setbacks, they're set up moments. When God readjusts you, when God changes you, it's not just a setback. Alignment may feel like a loss at first, but I'm going to tell you, it leads to longevity. And what feels like restriction, hear me, family, movement conversations, what feels like restriction may actually be precision, precise. Got to get right into it. Got to get right where it's supposed to be at. So how do I stay in line? How do I stay aligned, Chris? Let me give you some practicality in your life to help you. Ask alignment questions regularly. Do it on a regular basis. Does this pull me closer to God, or does this distance me from God? Is this draining me, or is this developing me? And you have to be careful with that, because there are things that do drain you, but they also develop you. But it's not a negative drain, it's a positive drain. if I could say it like that. There's sometimes that people get fluid on their body. They got to drain the fluid off of their body, but the draining is for the good, not for the bad. It's when it's draining you to the point that you're not productive anywhere else, if that makes sense. So you ask those questions regularly. Is this draining me or is it developing me? Does this pull me closer from God or does it pull me away from God? You could also ask yourself this question, or should I say this statement? You got to build rhythms, not reactions. You got to build rhythms. That's kind of where I've been at in my life as of late. I've been trying to build better rhythms in my life. I've always had rhythms, but I don't know that they've been healthy rhythms. I think they've been rhythms of motion more than they have been rhythms of just really that would progress me forward, I guess you'd say. Because alignment, I don't know that alignment is emotional as much as it is just habitual. There are some things I don't think need to be habitual. I don't think, I've prayed so much it's become a habit, and I understand what the meaning behind that is, but I don't want to pray because it's a habit. I want to pray because it's a desire. I don't want to read my book because I don't want to read the Bible because it's a habit. I want to read it because it's a desire to do it, that I want to do it, not because I've got to get those 5 minutes in each day. Daily prayer, time in the Word. It's really sacred rhythms. It's rhythms of the Sabbath. It's really what we have to do. So build rhythms, not reactions. So that when trouble hits, it's not my reaction just to get mad. It is already in my rhythm to not allow this to knock me out of alignment. I think third thing is this, I think you got to be willing to adjust quickly. I think we're in a season right now that you got to be willing to adjust. You got to be willing to make moves. Because the truth is this, that delayed obedience often creates prolonged misalignment. So the longer you wait to do something, I know how it is. Sometimes I got to make phone calls. Sometimes I got to have conversations I don't want to have. And honestly, maybe that's why God isn't allowed tremendous growth to come into my ministry as of yet. I mean, we have growth, but I'm just talking out loud. I think sometimes because I'm one of those people, I hate to have those tough conversations. I had so many of them early in ministry when we were developing the house that now in life, I'm like, man, I just want to have some peace. So I don't always do well with tough conversations. It's not that I don't mind having them. It's just tough sometimes because you want to build a relationship with people. And sometimes, I've got pastor friends, man, they're like hammers. Like they handle business like bam, 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 bam. And I could never work for you. It's just who they are. So delayed obedience often creates prolonged misalignments, but I'm finding out in life you have to adjust quickly. You really do. So think about it like this. Here's a closing thought. Small adjustments today, they prevent major breakdown tomorrow. A $30 oil change each month, a $60 oil change, a $90 oil change every 3,000 miles. It seems like a lot. I remember early on when I first got married, we was broke as convicts, and we don't always have the money to get oil changed. If it was coming down to buying groceries or getting oils, we were buying groceries. But now I do my best to religiously get my oil changed every 3,000 miles, whatever it costs for every 3,600 miles. Why? Because a $50 oil change will save me an engine down the line. Engine for a truck's $4,000, but oil change is 60, 70, 80, 90 bucks. Small adjustments make things last. So let me encourage you with this. I hope that it's been good for you today. What time is it? I gave you 2 extra minutes today. Wow, I'm doing good, aren't I? Let me encourage you with this. If God is highlighting alignment in your life right now, that's not a warning, that's an invitation. It's not a warning to scare you. That's an invitation to come closer, an invitation to peace, an invitation to clarity, an invitation to increase without burnout. Because the reality is you're not behind, you're being positioned. Alignment doesn't limit your life, family. It unlocks it. So don't resist the adjustment. Don't fear the pruning, and don't rush the process. Now, I want to say that again in case you missed it. Don't resist the adjustment. Don't fear the pruning, and don't rush the process, because when God aligns you, He's getting you ready for what's next, man. I want to preach this so bad. Man, this is good stuff. So don't resist it. God's getting you ready for what's next in your life. It may not be a move. It may not be this. It may just simply be God promoting you where you are, elevating you in your gift, changing this and changing that. But don't resist the pruning. Don't resist the adjustment. Don't rush the process. It's going to be all right. Amen. Hey, look, thanks for hanging out with me today. It's episode 20, season 2. We made it 20 episodes, man. That's amazing. Thank you so much for all of our Movement Conversations family out there. We are growing every week, and you can help us keep growing simply by sharing this content, liking this content. Maybe somebody you know needs to hear it. If so, send it to them, email it, fax it, send it in a smoke signal, however you can send it to them. Nothing else, just like it and share it on Facebook, share it on social media, share these Spotify, share these YouTube videos. We want to get as much word out about this as we can, because God's doing some stuff, and I think a lot of it's coming through these podcasts like this. I think there's 400 million podcasts all over the world right now, some crazy number like that. Podcasts are hotter than they've ever been before. So why wouldn't we want to use them? So if you can help us, like us, get the word out, get the ministry out, let them know what's going on. If you don't have a church and you're listening to this, come check us out in Angela, North Carolina, Movement Church, 100 Tippett Road, Angela, North Carolina. It's a great church to be in. I'm a little biased because I get to lead such a great church. But hey, listen, until next week, Until next week, keep on getting aligned, keep on moving forward, and I'll see you next week on Movement Conversations. I love you. God bless you. Until next week, this is Chris Hall with Movement Conversations. Have a blessed week. I loved you. I loved you. I love you. Thank you for letting me be your friend. Have a great day.